Every thought we think and every word we speak is creating our future. It's as though our thoughts go out into the universe and are accepted and brought back to us as experience. Now that is a very simple thing, but most people don't get it. They don't understand it. They've never heard it before and they think it's ridiculous. But if you can really accept the fact that every time you think a thought and every time you speak a word, you are literally painting your future, whatever you want to call it. You are creating, and you're creating your own life. And this is simple, but it's not easy to accept. But once you accept it, then you can start deliberately creating what you want in your life. And you begin to be aware of what you don't want in your life and how you are contributing to it.
Every thought we think and every word we speak is being responded to by the universal energy. So the moment we say we're willing, it's amazing how the universe begins to help us. It brings us what we need. When you have a problem you wish to change, begin by saying to yourself, I am willing to change the pattern in my consciousness that is creating this condition. This simple sentence begins to get things moving. The universal power, the universal energy, the law of mind, your subconscious mind is constantly responding to every thought you think and every word you speak. So the moment we make the smallest shift in consciousness, our experience begins to change.
Keep it right in your head. Keep your thoughts good, not bad. Keep your thoughts decent, not indecent. Keep your thoughts full of faith and not doubt, because it is in your thoughts that is determined whether you will be happy or unhappy, whether you'll be healthy or unhealthy. The happiest person is he who thinks the happiest, most interesting, finest thoughts.
The cells of your body are constantly dying and being renewed, being replaced with new cells. But now these new cells are created out of the nature of your thought. That lets me know I'd better get busy and think right thoughts. I'd better think healthy thoughts, because my word is creative. You see, that's the word being made flesh. Your body of flesh, your body of affairs, and your world of circumstances are all created out of your word. What you think, what you say, and what you feel about yourself.
You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Now think about that. If you want to attract what you want, you've got to see yourself already with it. You've got to understand that you've already got it. Use your imagination. See yourself already in possession of the good you desire. That will flip your mind onto a specific frequency. And you do think on frequencies. It's on that frequency that good you desire is going to start coming towards you, and you will start moving toward it. If you want to attract what you actually want, you've got to see yourself now already with it. And know it's only a period of time until you moving toward it and it moving toward you, and you become one with it.
We always desire things, we always want things, but when we're in the creative process, we cannot create from the lack of not having it. We have to create from the feeling of having it. I don't care what you want to create. I just want you to get really good at creating. Cars, vacations, houses, whatever it is. Just get good at creating. But sooner or later, that the novelty will wear off on all of that. You'll want to know that on some level there's more. And so in the quantum, you got to feel it to experience it.
Wow, so your brain doesn't really know the difference between, say that again?
Between something that happened in real life or something that you strongly visualize.
So you could create enough of a visualization for yourself if you really were to powerfully start to focus on it and do that and build that ability to visualize something that your brain at one point would have to think it's so true that the world would meet you and put it into your life.
I love the way you put that.
Wow.
This is what you desire. This is what you fear. Now, here are you on this slope between what you desire and what you fear, going up or going down. This, however, is easy. The natural tendency of human nature is to focus on what is negative and to slide back into what they fear, what is the worst possible outcome. This requires effort. It requires a consistent effort to keep your mind on what you want. Now, most people are lazy. Most people are undisciplined. Most people are not willing to make the effort. So what they do is they have a tendency to slide into thinking about what is the worst thing that can possibly happen. They slide into negativity. That's why the great majority of people today are negative, and very few people are positive. So be alert to that, is that whenever you find yourself thinking about something that's coming up in advance, it's natural to be filled with doubt and fear. But the superior human being keeps their mind on what they want. The superior human being stops the negative thoughts. The superior human being concentrates on excellent performance. Now, somebody will say, well, I've never done it before. How can I concentrate, or how can I recall and relive excellence? Easy, in your imagination. You can pretend and imagine that you've done this before. Pretend that you've already succeeded at this. Think about how you would act if you were a superb success in this area. Walk as though you were a success. In neurolinguistic programming, they find that there is a physiological state or way of walking, talking, and acting that is consistent with every emotional state. And that if you walk and talk and act the same way you would if you felt confident, as we said earlier, you'll actually feel the feelings of confidence that go with the behavior.
Focus on what you want, but don't try and tell the universe how it's going to happen. Don't tell them that I'm going to do this and this is going to happen. I go, no, you just focus on what you want. The intelligence of the supercomputer, the subconscious supercomputer, it won't handle it unless you put your hands into the machine. I said, keep your hands out of the machine. Focus on where that ball's going to go.
They set a goal, but then they look for the signals that it's going to happen. Where they start to look at the empty bank account, the wealth, it's no good. It's not there. We don't know if we're going to have enough money to keep going. And what we do at that point, we forget our goal and we start to worry. And then we doubt ourselves, and it's a negative experience. It's a psychic disease. That worry instantly and automatically turns into an emotional state called fear. That energy that we call fear, that negative energy, must be expressed through the only medium it can be expressed through, and that's this thing that you live in, your physical body. And it expresses itself in a negative vibration that's more commonly known as anxiety. I had someone talk to me here just about an hour ago about anxiety. That's the cause of anxiety.
You know, my dear friend, anger is a very strange thing. It is a spark that appears inside us, not because the world has suddenly become hostile, but because something inside us has not yet learned the art of dancing with life. When someone irritates you, bothers you, or stirs a fire in your chest, it is not really them disturbing your peace. It is your mind telling you a story about what their actions mean about you. And almost always, that story is a fiction, a masterpiece of imagination dressed in the costume of reality. For most of my life, I was fascinated by the way human beings bristle at the slightest insult, become defensive over the smallest remark, and tighten their bodies as if preparing for war when someone simply disagrees with them. It struck me as odd that people who desire peace end up building entire fortresses around themselves, not realizing that fortresses are prisons as well. Let me share something quite peculiar, something liberating. Nobody has ever truly made you angry. Nobody has ever reached into your chest and pressed a button labeled rage. What has happened instead is that your own interpretations, expectations, and unexamined wounds have reacted to a stimulus, like a tuning fork resonating with a vibration that has been waiting inside you for years. To never be angry again, or more accurately, to never be controlled by anger is not about becoming cold or numb. It is not about being indifferent or passive. It is about becoming so deeply rooted in yourself that nothing outside you can uproot you. It is about realizing that people will always behave in ways that reflect their own inner world, not yours. And thus, you cannot take their behavior personally. How could you? It was never about you to begin with. You see, anger arises when the mind insists that life must be different from what it is in this moment. A person says something, and instantly the mind protests. This should not be happening. You shouldn't have said that. Someone disrespects you, and the mind proclaims, I don't deserve this. A stranger makes a rude gesture, and the mind shouts, how dare they? But all these thoughts have one thing in common. They assume you are separate from the world. They assume you are a fragile ego that must defend itself against an unpredictable universe. And that assumption becomes the chain that drags you into emotional turmoil. When I say to you, learn how to never be bothered by anyone. I am not telling you to learn to tolerate disrespect. I am telling you to learn to see the illusion of the ego so clearly that disrespect simply passes through you like wind passing through an empty flute, producing nothing but music. We must begin here, with the awareness that nothing anyone says is truly about you. What a person says in irritation tells you only about their state of consciousness.
When we were little tiny babies, we knew the perfection of our being. We knew how wonderful we were. You look at any tiny baby and you see how wonderful they are. They're full of love and they're full of life, and they ask for what they want and they express their feelings freely. When a little baby is angry, not only do you know it, the entire neighborhood knows it. And yet, 2 minutes later, their smile can light up a room because they express and it's over. And they always live in the now. And they reach out and ask for what they want. They're fabulous little babies. And they love their bodies from the top of their head all the way to the tip of their toes. They have no shame and no guilt. And they're not into comparison. And each one of us was like that. Then somewhere along the line we lost it. We listened to other frightened or angry people and believed what they told us. Where did you lose your love for yourself?
Try this out as an experiment before you start your day. Let me write down 2 thoughts that are not going to slip by my awareness unnoticed by me today. 2 memories, whatever it is. What are 2 behaviors I want to change today? Let me stay conscious of them and not go unconscious to them today, even if it means how I speak. What are 2 emotions that I live by every day that I can literally change? I want to become conscious of what they feel like in my body. I want to catch them the moment I start feeling them. Let me review them over and over again enough times so I don't go unconscious. Okay. Now I'm conscious of my unconscious, that 95%. Let me rehearse a change I want to make in a certain circumstance. And ask yourself, can I stay in this state my entire day? And if you can't, you go unconscious, ask yourself at the end of the day, how'd I do? Where'd I go unconscious? Okay, tomorrow morning, new day, new lifetime. Let me go again. Let me try again. And it's the practice, it's the repetition that causes the change. Now here's the beauty behind this, because all of a sudden, when those synchronicities start to happen, when the coincidences start to happen, it's no longer a have to. It's like the magic is happening, you don't want it to end. You realize that you are actually creating outcomes in your life.
Go into the silence. Go and sit down quietly by yourself for 30 to 60 minutes. 30 to 60 minutes. Most people in our society have never sat quietly for 30 to 60 minutes in their entire lives. Yet I will tell you this method works 100% of the time. That any problem that you have, any difficulty, any challenge, any goal that you want to accomplish, if you'll go into the silence and sit quietly and then listen to the still small voice within. The still small voice within. This is the key. You will find that at a certain point, probably at about 25 to 30 minutes, your mind will go completely clear. And then a flow of ideas will start to flow into your mind. You'll feel energy welling up inside you. And at a precise moment, as you sit there in complete silence, your mind will go clear and wham! Exactly the answer you need will come at exactly the right time.
This is how greatness is created, when you show up to create when you don't feel like it. When you sit with yourself and not allow your mind to go to the past and all the problems and all the things, and instruct your mind to go to that vision of the future, that's a victory. Come on. That is the overcoming process. We discovered that when you're sitting with yourself and you go past the point where you would normally stop because of your disbelief, you go past that point, that's when the brain changes the most. That's when you're stepping into the unknown. That is the overcoming process that allows you to become anything, abundant or healthy or whatever it is that people want.
Victory starts in our mind. When your vision is limited, your life will be limited. It's amazing what happens when you enlarge your vision, when you believe big, when you pray bold prayers, when you dream great dreams. Too often, because of disappointments, delays, things that haven't worked out, we've watered down our dreams. We've lowered our expectations. We're not stretching, believing for great things, believing to get well. Are you putting limits on what God wants to do in your life? Are you focused on what you think can happen only in your ability?
Your existence is constantly an engagement with the universe, but your mind becomes against the universe. If you create a psychological condition that you're against or you're in competition with the universe or the cosmos, obviously you will feel crushed for small things.
Your default mode is to say, I'm an imposter, I'm a loser, I'm not likable, nobody likes me, I'm not lovable. It has become part of your default mode network. And it's super important for you to realize that just like I could go from being a right-hander and teach myself how to be a left-hander, it is the exact same process for you to go from somebody who defaults to thinking negative garbage to becoming somebody who thinks directly. And just like learning to go from writing with your right hand to teaching yourself to write with your left hand, it is going to be a process, not an event. It is going to require you to switch out of the mode where you automatically grab the pen with your right hand and you direct your thoughts to deliberately grab this pen with your left hand.
So then, as you begin to think about a new possibility, and your brain begins to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, and you begin to plan your behaviors, and you begin to review in your mind, mentally rehearse who you're going to be in your life. The mere action of mental rehearsal begins to install the neurological circuits in your brain. Now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's in fact a map to the future. And if you were then to begin to emotionally embrace your future before it's made manifest, in other words, you're not waiting for your healing to feel wholeness. You're not waiting for your new relationship to feel love. You're not waiting for the mystical moment to feel awe. You're not waiting for your success to feel empowered. That's the old model of reality, of cause and effect.
Everything we as human beings have created on this planet was essentially first created in our minds. All that you see, which is human work on this planet, first found expression in the mind, then it got manifested in the outside world. The wonderful things that we have done on this planet and the horrible things that we have done on this planet, both have come from the human mind. So if we are concerned as to what we create in this world, it's extremely important that first of all we learn to create the right things in our mind, how we keep our minds. If we do not have the power to keep our minds the way we want it, what we create in the world is also going to be very accidental and haphazard. So learning to create our minds the way we want is the basis of creating the world the way we want.
But it's about training the mind too, right? The mind needs to adjust, and the mind is like a muscle. It needs to reshape itself to be able to take on a new way of thinking and a new way of behaving and, progressively hold that new shape. And that only comes through repetition and patience and slow, hard work of doing the same thing over and over again.
If you change the picture in your mind, you change the chemistry, you change the fate. So I'll give an example. If I have a picture of love in my mind, the brain releases complementary chemistry, dopamine, pleasure, oxytocin, bond with your loved one, growth hormone, which does exactly what it says. It enhances your growth, and that's why when people fall in love, the chemistry of the brain going into the blood, the culture medium, enhances vitality. People glow when they fall in love. People are healthy when they fall in love. That's just not an accident. It's the chemistry of your culture medium. But now I say, but wait, what if I have a picture of fear? I go, oh, well, love chemistry doesn't come out when fear is in the picture. The brain releases stress hormones and factors that affect the immune system and growth of the system. And I go, oh my goodness. I say, why is it relevant? Changing my thought changes my chemistry. The chemistry adjusts my biology. So if I can control my thoughts, I can control the chemistry, and therefore I control the biology.
But if you want to get better results, you're going to have to shift from seeking to building. You're going to have to shift from worrying to saying, you know what, I got this. That's what mindset is all about. Mindset is about having confidence in yourself. Mindset is about saying, I don't care what comes up. I don't care what obstacles come my way. I have this under control. Why? Because if I think it, I can imagine it, I can envision it, and then I can help this thing come to pass. Oh, I hope I'm helping y'all today. These are the things that you've got to focus on. At the end of the day, mindset matters.
Alfred Adler saw ambition as the quintessential attempt to overcome our insecurities. The more competitive people are, he argued, the more insecure they are underneath, such that displays of superiority can be interpreted as compensatory mechanisms for an underlying inferiority complex. Thus, low confidence is a problem only if you don't care enough about it to attempt to gain competence. One thing I can see that high achievers have in common is that they self-medicate their insecurities with success. Although we are repeatedly told that exceptional achievers owe their success to their high confidence or self-belief, it is more feasible to attribute it to their insecurity. Why else would anybody work so hard and continue to work hard even after accomplishing much more than most people? In that sense, one could argue that the only difference between successful and unsuccessful people is that the former care much more about their insecurities, so they are driven to work hard to overcome them. And the key point is that they work, not on their insecurities, but on achieving big things. Success is the best medicine. People sometimes think I'm confident, but only because I fake it. Deep inside, I am certain of nothing and believe only in working hard for what I want. I hardly ever feel overconfident, but focus on my insecurities to push me to work harder instead of putting the energy toward improving my confidence. Although I have done reasonably well in my career, I would be devastated if I felt I had already reached my biggest accomplishments. The thought of complacency scares me. Thus, insecurities lead to ambition, which eclipses low confidence by focusing your attention on your goals rather than yourself, leading to higher levels of achievement, which in turn can give you realistic confidence. Conversely, the security and confidence that may result from having things too easy or being overly pleased with yourself are likely to hinder ambition and threaten potential improvements. When we tell people that they can achieve anything they want so long as they have high confidence, their motivation to work hard decreases. When we tell people that everybody is equally capable of achieving anything, we create in them high expectations and a false sense of entitlement, which reduces their willpower. In every domain of competence, education, careers, sports, relationships, and health, some people are naturally better endowed than others, in that they are pretty much born with an advantage over their peers. For example, being born to a wealthier family will give you access to better health and education. Being naturally more physically attractive will make you a more desirable romantic partner. And a better genetic makeup will make you healthier and increase the probability of living longer. All these inborn characteristics are comparable to height, in that you cannot do much to alter them. If you think about confidence as height and performance as jumping high, it should help you understand and remember one of the key lessons. Even if you cannot alter your height, you can always learn to jump higher. And being born short should make you work extra hard to achieve your goals. And here's the beauty of it. Once you do, you will feel better about your height too. To stay with a sports metaphor, if you want to run like Usain Bolt, the fastest man on earth, you better start training now, train all the time, and stop doing anything else. It will also help if you avoid thinking that you have the same natural talent for running as Bolt does, even in the unlikely event that you do, because if you believe you do, you will be unaware of your limitations and likely train less. Most of us are average at what we do. Being aware of this is especially useful if you want to be better than average. When you struggle You need to be realistic about it in order to improve, and being fully aware of your problems is the biggest incentive to work hard to bring about positive change. The contestants on The Biggest Loser are usually people who have been severely overweight since childhood. What is most interesting from a psychological perspective is that these people start with extremely low levels of self-esteem, as one would expect given their situation. Yet, season after season, they are willing to expose themselves intimately to millions of TV viewers in an attempt to achieve something that is extremely difficult and totally outside their confidence zone. This is a wonderful example of how willpower, especially the desire to improve, trumps the inhibitory effects of low confidence. If you really want something, you will work hard to attain it. If what you want is to recover your confidence, then you should focus on improving your performance. Work hard on your accomplishments and your confidence will take care of itself.
There's great power in self-reliance. Self-reliance means you simply look mostly to yourself. It would be nice if someone just gave you this. It would be nice if everyone did their job exactly as they're supposed to do it. But here's what you've got to do. Primarily rely on yourself. Primarily say, I'm the person responsible and I will learn the necessary skills so that I can help people learn their skills. If I need lots of people to do certain things to build my organization, that is what I must have. But I've got to be the final backstop. I've got to be the final one that people can rely on so that if this is missed and this is missed, I can catch up. I can fill the gap. I can do the job. We have to do it when we conduct meetings. We have to do it when we conduct training. We have to do it when we're in a class of just a few, what someone might have missed. We're there to fill in self-reliance. Primarily, we're learning to count on yourself so that you can do this. Never complain and never explain. Here's the next key power, and that's image. There's many parts to image the image that others see you as the image you have with other people. And that's very important, how other people see you. If they don't see you as a leader, chances are they won't pay attention. If they don't see you as being in control, chances are they won't have the trust. If they don't see you as knowing where you're going, what you want to accomplish, they probably won't follow. But if people can see you, if you have the image of someone that's in charge, in control of your life, your future, your destiny, in control of the situation, if they see that, that kind of image is powerful. It helps to win the day. It attracts other people. People want to be around people that are in control, that are powerful, but they know how to use their power influential. But they know how to use their influence. That kind of image is important. But here's a very important image, and that is your image of yourself, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you think, your capacity for learning. All of that is an important image that you have of yourself. The image that you have, that if it needs to be learned, you could learn it. If there's a book that needs to be mastered, you could master it. If there's a skill that needs to be learned, why couldn't you get busy now and learn that skill? That kind of self-image that I am continually trying my best to be the best I can. Because one of the most important places you have to look is into the future. Yes, you've got to look into the past. Yes, you've got to look around. But one of the most important places you have to look is in the mirror.